Some of our students have been on Zoom calls all day, and I always give them an opportunity to stretch. So we usually do a stretch between our Zoom calls. I know some of you have been at work. Some of you have been stressed out. They said, I got a lot on my plate, but I decided to come and join this podcast to learn about some community highlights. Awesome. Awesome. Does everybody feel relaxed?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. And so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it into the hands of Miles Johnson and Dominique Cook. Let's do our virtual clap for them.
Okay. Welcome to the Community Spotlight Podcast, where we highlight area community leaders and organizations. I am Miles Johnson, a new ninth grader at North High School.
I am Dominique Cook, a new ninth grader at North High School. We are still members of the Trailblazers After School Academy. Let us welcome Miss Precious McKesson.
Hello, everybody. My name is Precious McKesson, and I am a product of Omaha Public Schools. I graduated from Northwest High School in 1997. I have a daughter who's actually a junior now at North High School. I work in politics. I always tell people that's what pays me, but my passion is working in the community and working in neighborhoods. I have been volunteering, I will honestly say, since I was in the 4th grade. That's when I had my first volunteering experience. I used to volunteer at the UNO. They had a handicap, wheelchair Olympics, and they would have students come in and we would volunteer. And then I volunteered at the Redmond Nursing Home, which was right around the corner from my childhood neighborhood. So I started very young because we didn't know, you would think we had things to do, but volunteering at the nursing home was really, I guess see 5th and 6th graders coming in to volunteer at the nursing home. I don't think they expected that. I just enjoy life. I enjoy neighborhoods. I enjoy the community. And I really thank you for inviting me to share my experience with you guys today.
Okay. Thank you. Question: what makes you want to get back to the community?
I guess I'll keep myself on mute since you're interviewing me. What makes me give back? Just growing up, that was something that, my family was not a community. I should say, we're not originally from Nebraska. So I moved to Nebraska when I was about 2 or 3 years old. So my mom was not you can say sometimes some people say you inherit that community activism or giving back. I didn't have that. So I grew up in the neighborhood off of 45th and James. And at a young age, experienced, a lot, friends being in gangs, friends doing things. But my mom always made sure that we weren't involved in, she made sure that we didn't go down the wrong path. But we had a lot of friends that did go down the wrong path. So as I got older, I went to Alabama at the age of 19. And that was my first experience with the civil rights. I had really, I promise you, my first maybe month there, I had really not really knew what the civil rights movement was and what experienced racism. And I was at home on a Sunday. It was raining. And the 4 Little Girls, Spike Lee has a documentary called 4 Little Girls. And that would come on all the time. And one day I just happened to catch it and did not realize that I was basically 10 minutes from where all this took place. And from that moment on, I really vowed to give back. Only thing is that I didn't know people in Birmingham, Alabama. So I didn't know how to get involved. But then I moved back home to Nebraska in 2004. And at the time I was about to have my daughter. And I just wanted to figure out how was I going to get involved? How was I going to give her the best life possible? And so in 2008, I had my first experience with being the policy council president for Head Start. And then I worked at Girls Inc. And as many of you know, working at Girls Inc., you experience a lot of community work. And from there, it's been a passion of mine to be able to give back and to really have an opportunity for other people.
It's nice.
If you could go back to our age, what would you do differently?
Okay, so you guys are entering into high school. I would go back. So I wouldn't do my freshman year over again. That was a time where you're coming from being a little one to I'll kind of say trying to find out who you are and where you're at. I would start with my sophomore year. And the reason why I say my sophomore year is I would take all the information that was given by my teachers During that time, they always tell you that your sophomore year, junior year, your most critical years of high school. I wish I would have listened during that time, because I would have took advantage of every opportunity that was given to me, every opportunity for after school, every opportunity for scholarships, not just of our activities, but as the educational piece that could have helped me be able to receive scholarships and be able to prepare me for the ACT and for different testing. So if I could go back, it would start right there in my sophomore year of high school.
Thank you.
Nice. What evidence would you give to someone our age about school? Advice.
Advice.
Yeah.
Well, as a mother of a junior, I would honestly, the advice I would give to you is basically take advantage of every opportunity. Sometimes my mom will say, "Oh my gosh, the girls are involved in so much stuff. They don't have time to be themselves." And I'm a firm believer, an active kid that is active in school activities has less time to do something they have no business doing, because your mind is trying to keep up with everything else. So as a mother of a high schooler, I always encourage her to be involved. You don't always have to take lead, and you don't always have to be the leader of an activity. It's better to be a participant, and then know and find out where you fit in to any organization. Take your studies seriously. The teachers give you information. I know there's teachers on here, and I'm just going to advocate. I'm going to always advocate for our teachers. Teachers give you information because that information is useful to you. Just imagine they would not be where they're at now if they would not have listened to their teachers. I am a strong believer that teachers should be paid a lot more money than they're paid, because that's their passion. You have to have a very good heart to be in the teaching field, because number one, you're dealing with so many different personalities, not only for the students, but you're dealing with personalities of families that the students come from. So I would always say, take advantage of every opportunity. Do not let one stumble be like your downfall. Just know that I always say that's your one loss. Make it a lesson and grow from it. There's so many opportunities here in OPS and here in Omaha. And then look outside of Omaha. When you start thinking about college, think of the wider world. The United States is so big. There's so many different opportunities. Think of those different colleges, because then you can take what you learn and you can bring it back to your community. So always don't let go of what's in your community. Don't think that, I just have to stay here. You can always go, and you can always come back. And that's what I would love to see, is like more of our students go out, explore the world, see different things, and then bring all that experience back.
Who inspires you and why?
Oh, well, my daughter inspires me a lot. For a long time, it was my grandmother. My grandmother passed away some years ago. My grandmother, I say two people. My grandmother was a housekeeper. My grandmother worked at Bergen Mercy Hospital for over 20-something years. And I would have never known the struggle that my grandmother had and the amount of money that she made if I would have never saw her paycheck stub. But my grandmother always made a way for us. But now I say, since my grandmother is no longer here, she still inspires me to be a better person. But my daughter really inspires me because she has a different, something different than what I had at 16. And I'm impressed by that, because when she says she's going to be dedicated to something, she's dedicated to it. Me, I'll say, oh, I'm going to eat this. I'm going to eat these smoothies for a week, and I only last 2 days. Taylor lasts like forever. My daughter's now a vegetarian, and sometimes, I look at her like, how can you not eat meat? But it's something that she's really she drives to. Then I look at her academics. When I was in high school, I was not an honor student. I tell people all the time, like, I was one of those I got by. And when I say I got by, I was so involved in activities that you would not have known that I was struggling with my academics, because I was so active. And I wish I could go back and switch that and be more of I was on student council, FBLA, basketball. I was on the dance team. I was in everything. Like, sun up, I got to school at 6:30 in the morning. Now sometimes I get home from school until 6:30 at night. But I struggled academically. And with her, she's totally different. She's an honor student, and I just see her grades and I just beam, and people are like, why do you, and I feel like, because what she's done, I feel like she's better than me. and I always want to push her to be better than me. So she inspires me a lot to be a better person, and she inspires me to stay on track and really stay consistent with things that go on that I say I'm going to do.
That's nice. What are some organizations you are a part of?
Ooh, so I'm a part of a lot of organizations, a lot. So I'm the secretary for the NAACP. I'm the president of North Omaha Neighborhood Alliance, which I love dearly because neighborhoods are my passion. I am the vice president of the Neighborhood USA board. So that's a national board that consists of about 25 other people across the United States who have a passion in neighborhoods, either from city level, local level, national level. We all love neighborhoods. I am the United State of a Woman ambassador for Nebraska. So I'm like the only one, if you go to the United State of a Women website and you look at all the ambassadors, I'm like the lone dot in the Midwest. And I think I have one in Iowa, but I think the closest one to me would be Utah and down in Texas. So I represent the Nebraska as the United States of the Women. I am also just newly elected. I'm the Congressional District 2 elector for Vice President Joe Biden. So I will be casting that vote for the state of Nebraska for Congressional District 2 if he is when he's elected president. So I'm very proud of that. That's historic because there's never been a Black woman to do that. So I'm very honored to be a part of Vice President Biden's I think it's only 530 electorals throughout the United States, and just be one of those, I'm very honored. I'm a part of Young Black and Influential. That is an organization that is created by a group of young Black influentials in the city of Omaha who wanted to honor people who are doing the work. So very involved in that. That is something you can be involved in also, because we have a youth portion where we always encourage the youth to be a part of. I am a voting member and donor for IB Black Girl. So I give money to that organization to be able to then take the money and put it back into the community of Black women who are doing base-led programming for Black women, for young Black women and girls. And I'm the volunteer coordinator. I do a lot, guys. I'm telling you, volunteer coordinator for Omaha United for Youth. Each year for the school year, we give out book bags for you to go back to school filled with supplies. So we're going into our 4th year. So I think the highest we've given is about 2,500 book bags in one WAP. So we make sure that you have all the necessary supplies, and that's given to anybody. We don't ask for any information. We just say, come to the park. We have a full day of events. And then I'm newly elected to the Omaha School Board Foundation board. So those are the organizations that helps with after school programs, that helps with Kids Club, that helps with different scholarships throughout OPS. And it also helps our teachers be able to have different grants and stuff in their school. So I'm really honored to be a part of that, because again, it helps you and it helps the teachers who teach you be able to have assistance and make it a better learning experience for you.
How has the COVID-19 affected how you serve in the community now?
Well, since March, we've been basically on Zoom. Zoom has consumed everything. I've been a part of a group with local leaders with Empowerment Network and other partners, and we come together every week to talk about what's going on, so we get an update from the state level, the local level, the legislature, and how do we make sure that our communities are being safe. As many people know, that the majority of people who are impacted by COVID are people of color in lower income neighborhoods and communities who don't have access to health care. So our main message is making sure that we're sharing the message and making sure to tell people, stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, practice social distancing. So we have really been working on that level and making sure that when we're passing the message, that we're also abiding by the message. My daughter was like, oh, I want to go here. No. How can I have you out here and I'm sitting here telling people to stay home and you're out here? So it's been a little hard with that. Also, North Omaha Neighborhood Alliance, we've hosted several community drive-ups for food. In March, we had when we had a real big scare, when people were like, oh my gosh, we're going to be home. We had this food insecurity and people didn't have the funding. Unemployment didn't kick in. We decided to give a emergency care pack. And what we did, we made sure it was healthy food options. We made sure it was peanut butter, tuna, vegetables, we had, I don't think we put we did put Pop-Tarts in it. We had applesauce, spaghetti sauce, just meals something that families can make a meal that's stretched, because we want to make sure that everybody was able to eat. The good thing is that OPS had the food drives where families could pull up pop the truck, put the food in there, and go. And it was really a blessing to be able to give food to people, because it made us realize that we have a food insecurity in our community. And that was really scary, because it's not just African American people. We serviced so many people of different ethnicities. And I think that it just showed us that we need to do more in our community to make sure that if this ever happens again, people don't go without. And our main concern was kids, was with you being at home. There's a lot of kids that depend on meals from OPS and depend on those meals. And that's one thing that I stress to my daughter. She's an only child. And the worries that she has is not compared to somebody else's who has whoever may have three or four siblings. And I wanted to stress that to her, that we want to make sure that people who are at home, our little ones who depend on that breakfast in the morning when they come to Head Start, or for their lunch, we don't know what they have when they go home. And then remember, a lot of kids go to after school programs where you guys provide meals for them then. So that might be a cushion for a meal, and then they get a snack most likely, or they'll get a smaller meal that will carry them through the night, and then it starts over again. That was one thing that we were really concerned about, because we knew that there were kids that were missing out on that nutrition. So being able to give that back, it was a blessing. So we've had 3 of them so far. Now we do referrals. So if someone in the neighborhood like literally emails me and say, Precious, I know a family that needs a meal, I will go to the store and make one of those packages and deliver it to them. Also helping the towers with our senior citizens, making sure that they have toiletries. They had a shortage because people were buying up the toilet paper, buying up the hand sanitizer, which I don't understand why they were buying it up in mass like that. But we made sure that the towers for the senior citizens who can't get to the store, don't have public transportation near them, can have those items in the necessary, items easy accessible for them to have. And so that's what we've been doing. And we've been blessed to have generous donors who have given us money to be able to give back. And we want to make sure that we can always give that back to our community.
I really appreciate that. I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
What was your greatest community accomplished this year?
I would say being able to provide the food for the families, because you don't know at this point, everybody is scrambling for dollars. So you have organizations who, number one, nonprofits and organizations who don't have employees now, because your job is to assist the kids. You have families at home. So when we reached out to a philanthropist, it's like, hey, this is the idea we have. This is what we want to do. And they did not say no. They literally was like, we got you. How much do you need? And I was like, oh, really? Okay. And then I was able to tell them, and then instantly got the money, and we went to work. And so I think that was the biggest accomplishment, is not being scared and not being afraid to ask for help and say, hey, this is what we need. And also being able to be a voice for our community. During this time, people are scared and don't know who is speaking for them, who is actually talking for us, who is getting the information, and who is disseminating that information. And being a part of a large group of people who are actually putting that information together and making sure our community is safe, that's one of the biggest accomplishments, I think, in making sure that our community is safe, because we want to make sure they have access to health and make sure they know they can go get tested and don't be scared to get tested for COVID, because a lot of people are scared. And just making sure that they have, that they know that we're here to assist them. That's been a very, very big accomplishment.
Thank you. What is something that brings you joy?
Well, my family, number one. My family brings me joy because, without them, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do. And they're very understanding and compassionate toward that. They get taken, my daughter and my niece, they get taken everywhere. My niece is actually here from DC. She got here in March because DC was about to become a hotspot. And at the time, her mom and dad had to make a decision to send her here because they did not want her. My sister works in the public sector, working with families who don't have housing, trying to get, help assisting people who are homeless. So she had to make sure her clients were still safe. And so she didn't want to put her daughter in risk. So that was a big decision for a mom to make, to send her child across the middle of the country while she's still out on the front lines. And so she's been here. She's finished her junior year, so she'll go home next month, I think, to begin her senior year. So my family inspires me, my daughter inspires me, but my community also inspires me because it inspires me to be able to be a great person and to help them. We are not all perfect. And that's one thing I've realized that the community understands. I'm not perfect. I'm going to have my downfalls. I'm going to say something crazy on Facebook that I shouldn't say if I'm upset. but I always have to, I'm held to a higher standard and I have to be respectful, but I really know my community inspires me to be better and to always be there to assist them.
My friend inspires me too. How can we inspire others to bright light into the community?
I would say inspire others by getting involved, assisting. Like I said before, there's so many great organizations that you can be a part of, that you can really get the word out. And then just being successful. I think one thing is, I tell people all the time, when you go to college, just make us happy, make us proud, make us be great, make us feel so proud of you that you're succeeding. That's all I ask for any of the students that I encounter. Even when I did a recommendation letter for a young lady who's going to her master's program, and she sent me back this long email. She's like, I could never repay you. And I told her, you don't have to repay me. I just want you to be great. I want you to be awesome, and really want you to do this work and bring it back to your community if you decide to. And we'll be right here, cheering you on. So I just say all the time, there's so much you can get involved in. Use your resources. You have great teachers. You have great after school programs. I mean, Civic Nebraska, come on now. It gets no better than that. Like, I'm a product of Girls Inc. And so to see that we have all these different collaborators coming together and making sure that students have an access, use those resources. They're not here for nothing. They're here to really help you.
Will you celebrate Juneteenth this Friday?
Yes, I will. So I'm actually taking a half day. I was blessed that my job is going to give the staff a half day. We will most likely do something with family, still practicing social distancing, because I want everybody to be encouraged. That's one thing I'm scared that people will go out and do things. They're like, no, we still have to practice that social distancing. But I will celebrate and will bring honor to, the fact that that's when we became free here in the United States.
Right.
That was our last question. Thank you all for joining us for the
We're
community.
not over with just yet. Hold on just one second. I know you're trying to rush them off, Dominic. You did a great job. So what we're going to do is that we're going to open up this opportunity for questions. If anyone has questions for Precious, and I know we have some that are in the chat box.
Mm-hmm.
We have some that are in the chat box. I know Miss Wig, do you want to go and I can release you on your microphone? You can go ahead and ask the question.
Sure. I just want to know what are some ways that we can support? Where can we donate? You're doing all this great work and you have the connections with the community. How can we support you while you're supporting the community?
Well, I would say first go like the North Omaha Neighborhood Alliance Facebook page. Donations, we always accept them. We can do via mail. We have Venmo. I think we have Venmo. Yeah, Venmo. And we have Cash App? No, Venmo. How to think about it. But then I was just say, follow us on Facebook, follow the organizations that I mentioned, because those are the organizations that are dear to my heart. And then on June 20, I think it's the 28th, we will be partnering with some local organizations. I just posted on my Facebook page. We're going to do today's leaders listening to tomorrow's leaders, and doing a listening session. And we want to really hear from the youth and find out how they're feeling during this time of COVID, because number one, they have taken a lot in during COVID. Seniors lost prom, graduation, not being able to see your friends. You go on spring break and you get excited to come back in spring break, even though our spring break is in March, but you get excited to come back and talk about what you did, and they didn't get to do that. So we wanted to really hear what the kids have to say, and what they want to, what do we need to be doing as adults to make sure that we're listening and hearing from them. And so I'm really excited to be a part of that. And the link I will post, I'll send the link over. We're going to do a sign up. I'll send it over to Miss Tracy and she can share that with the students. But we're really proud to be able to say, you know what, it's not all about us. They're so busy listening to us, but we got to open up that door to let them have a voice. And so we're ready to let them have that table and be able to tell us what we should be doing, especially at a time during this.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Have you ever thought, or have you worked with an organization called Omega Sci-Fi?
Well, I have not worked with the organization Omega Sci-Fi, but I have a lot of friends who are part of the organization. And Mr. Barry Thomas We work together on some different things in the community when it comes to voting. So yes, I do. I am very aware. Are you going to be a part of the Squires?
Yeah, I am. My dad is, but yeah.
And you might
Okay,
know
well,
his dad.
awesome.
That's the reason why he's asking. You might know his
Who's your
dad.
dad?
Skylar Johnson.
Wow. Last time I saw you, you were at the Boys and Girls Club. Your dad was okay, cool.
Now, are there any other
And
questions?
your dad's a teacher at Lewis and Clark, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And Precious, it is a North Omaha Neighborhood Alliance, or is that a different one?
It will be under, it'll say NONA, NONA, and then it'll go into North Omaha Neighborhood Alliance.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience?
Can I ask a quick question, Tracy?
You sure can, Sherry.
Thanks for being here. I was just wondering, how does your volunteer work and your neighborhood work inform your political work?
Ooh. So I used to work in the legislature, which was totally okay with my work because again, I was working in legislature with Senator Wayne. So it wasn't, and I forgot to mention, I'm also on the land bank now that you say that. So when I was working there and I was appointed to the Omaha Land Bank by the mayor, was a little nervous because we didn't know how that was going to impact it. But my passion has always been neighborhoods. Now, with me working for the Nebraska Democratic Party, I have to sometimes take off that hat and make sure I'm telling people this is not my political view. Now it's a little different because now that I'm as a constituency director, I was so involved in the community that sometimes people didn't know if I was there for the party or if I was there for work. So it was kind of hard, but I always have to say, no, I'm here as a neighborhood representative. Now as the finance director, they won't see me as much in that area as recruiting and doing voter registration and all that because now I'm working with the money now. So I'm on a whole nother different page now. It's kind of hard to separate the two because sometimes you're gonna be like, well, this is what we need. But I've been able to work with Black Votes Matter, the NAACP, the VRM, different organizations that I can send that information to them and then they can do that work on the political side. And then they'll say, and they always say, Precious is here on behalf of Nona. And sometimes I always try to make it that I'm wearing a Nona shirt so people remember that I'm here on behalf of Nona because I never want to jeopardize our 501c3. And I was going to say to Dominique and to Miles, with you both, are you both going to North High School? I really encourage you to get involved in the Black Student Leadership Council. It is a very great organization. My daughter's a part of it. I think it's just it's just something that is awesome to see so many Black students doing this leadership. And each year they host an African American employer. We come a career day and everybody comes in from every walk of life. You have the FBI in there, you have politics, you have everybody. And one of my experiences that I had with the students was the senior year, I think it was 2019. Students wanted to register to vote. They were like, when they would come to me, I was like, well, I'm just here. They're like, no, we want to register to vote. And so just sitting there talking to them and letting them know that it doesn't matter what party you're affiliated with, just exercise your right to vote. I don't care who you vote for. Just exercise your right to vote because that is something that you have a right to do and to know what's going on in the state as well as the world when it comes to your rights and the laws and stuff. So definitely always try to encourage people to look into that one.
How do you sign up for that?
When you get into school, they'll have, when you go to open house, actually, if they have open house, I don't know when they go back, but when you guys go back, Mr. Jackson, they always have a table at the school, and they're a part of one of the student-led organizations. So they'll have someone there to sign you up. Just make sure you ask for the Black Student Leadership Council.
Okay.
Okay.
We do have a question inside of the chat box. Chelsea, do you want to come on camera and ask the question?
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry, my probably look all
It's okay,
a mess
Chelsea.
today. But yes, hello, Precious. Thank you so much. And thank
Hello.
you, Miles and Dominique, for your great facilitation.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I do like other grassroots work in addition to my work at Civic Nebraska. And I have been doing some reading about internal conflicts in organizations and grassroots movements, and how best to navigate those internal conflicts where, you know, we have this same goal and mission, but then internally there's things that are maybe standing in the way of reaching that mission. If you could speak to any suggestions you might have for groups that are experiencing that, or any experience you personally might be able to share, I welcome any thoughts.
Awesome. So I sit on the Nebraska table, which is consistent of all the different nonprofits, a lot of nonprofits throughout the state. So that's my way in, and and like I say, I always have to let people know that I'm not here on a political. I'm here for my nonprofit. And I think that for a long time, it was scary. It was scary for a lot of different organizations because for the last 2 years, they was like, oh, well, Precious is here. Are we talking about politics? Are we doing this? I mean, and literally, I was literally in one meeting, and because a young man had on a shirt that had a candidate, this lady walked out of the meeting. And so I always make sure, and I was trying to explain to her, I was like, you can still be in the room. People understand, but I just have to make sure when I go in the room that I'm not wearing anything political. I'm not, I just keep it, and I'm upfront. Like, guys, don't ask me anything political. I have two sets of business cards. Like, I even have two different book bags so that I know, okay, this is Precious. This is neighborhood Precious today when I go into that room. But then, you know, another thing that the Nebraska Accountability and Disclosure, that is a organization that I depend on, because as being in politics, I can call down there and I can ask them, is this a conflict of interest? And they will tell you if it's a conflict. So when I was working for Senator Wayne, there were certain things I had to say, okay, I'm on the land bank, I'm in urban affairs, the land bank bills come through urban affairs. Is this a conflict? For me, it was not, because I was not a voting member of the land bank. So I, as a non-voting member, it didn't, but I still made them aware of it. So I was saying and I will find out also too, if the public can use the Nebraska Accountability and Disclosure, because they deal with all the campaigns. So they're able to tell you if it's a conflict of interest of any nonprofit or any work that you're doing. And I really use those tools, because if I feel it's a conflict, I'm on the phone calling them like, I have a question, Mr. Frank, because I'm thinking I might be jeopardizing this. And then I also talk to our financial advisor, who does all of our books. You know, I look at the different things. Don't accept anything from the political sector. And, you know, you would think, oh, well, she works for it. Nope, I don't want your money. I can't accept it. Thank you. Because again, that can conflict with my 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Chelsea, does it help? Okay. Awesome. Are there any other questions? I know it's raining. Yay.
I just saw it. I'm like,
so if there's no other questions, I'm going to put the information or contact information. If you can put that in there real quick. I don't know if you're near a computer, Precious, where you can type in your contact information.
yes, I'm going to do it real quick. And I'm going to give you my personal and my, I'm going to give you my personal email, because even though I just actually put my, my Nona email on my phone, because for some reason I was just like missing some emails, and they were like, we're emailing you on Nona. I'm like, oh, okay. But I'll put both, because I answer to both of them. I always answer faster via email or text, because I'm always on my computer, on my phone. But I just want to thank you all, you know, for doing this. You know, this is something that I think is something awesome, especially coming from a student aspect, to be able to interview community leaders. And it's really, you guys did an awesome job. You did a very awesome job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, thanks.
All right, they're going to do their closing. Yay.
Okay.
Thank you all for joining us for the Community Spotlight. I'm
Miles.
Remember, you too can make a difference in your community. See you soon with our next podcast.
See ya.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Good night.